dollar bill, it says "E pluribus unum," "E pluribus unum," from many one. It is an occultic statement. It is not. It is not simply a description of the colonies forming the central government or the confederated government, which preceded the national government that we have now. And it is. It has, though, a picture of centralization. It is the idea of course, the pyramid, which is also on the back of the $1 bill. The pharaonic monument of centralized top-down power. And we are living, though, in an age that has passed by the $1 bill and passed by some of the significant iconography on it. That would be the words and the meaning of it. I propose on the David Hillis Show here at 92.7 Nooga Radio the reversal of that, not from many one, but from one many, and that is something that we are experiencing today. By some counts, it began in 1945 with what one historian calls the effective end of the nation state, where with the rise of nuclear power, the nation state can't do what it was designed for, and that is invasion and warfare. The modern state has a sole purpose, and that is warfare. And the end of the state as a concept, I think, is going to be to our advantage. And there are patriots, there are many conservatives who are talking about restoring America, and we have to have a strong United States. President Trump is, of course, a great nationalist, and like Pat Buchanan is as well. But the trend is against centralized systems and against centralization. Even though we hear yesterday about President Trump proposing another branch of the military, the space army. The trend is the reverse of the from many one. It is from one many. And if I were going to issue a new currency, hopefully it would be a currency that is legal and just, as opposed to our dollar bill today, which is a fiat currency. I would probably have on it ex uno plura, which is to say from one many. From one, ex is out of, and uno is one, and plura, of course, is plural. So you can figure the Latin out yourself. From ex, from one, many. And that is what I count on in the argument for local economy and the free market. And I do want you to give me a call. The number is 800-8949 on the David Hillis Show here at 92.7. Thank you for tuning in to our station. And our platform, we're live on Facebook at Nooga Radio, live on YouTube as well. And and we're live on TuneIn Radio, which is your app, and that's Hot News Talk Radio. There, I think you maybe can find us on the radio app through Nooga Radio, but for sure it is Hot News Talk Radio. For some reason, we just can't clear out the old logo that's there, which is 1240 AM, which is our former station. We have grown up in the world, and my name is David Hillis. I've grown up in the world also, and I'm very, very glad that you support me being here, and would love to hear from you. If I can solve your problem, please call. Maybe a little bit of discussion will do that. Will help you. But you're asking about the claims of E pluribus unum. It is on the dollar bill, and it really is a kind of revisionism as to what happened. And we were said to have 50 states, but they've all become sort of departments of the national government, and they've all reflected in their own legal ethic downward, right, against their own people. They have reflected the same sort of ethic of service and control, and have all of them become opportunistic sort of strip mining operations or skimming operations, if you will, of the people. Doing so by regulation, by false use of their own statutes, by rejecting constitutional rights in many, many areas. We don't have lawful government. We don't really have a government, but we do have. You could call it a deep state, and there is a state-level deep state. It does exist, and my job as journalist and reporter, and essayist, and also your host here at 92.7 Nooga Radio, is to kind of explore that and understand it sufficiently so that, but not to a point of belaboring it, but to understand it sufficiently is to have you, my listener, take important steps that we could say would further your interest, but also be a part of that larger narrative, and that is decentralization. Now, the internet is bringing much decentralization about. Top down doesn't work, bottom up does. And we heard from Garnet Chapin about how there is a kind of collectivism even in Chattanooga, and it's better. He argues, and one could agree with him at least partly. It is better than top-down collectivism that we've come to know and love here in the United States, where we have the better people with their think tank informed studies and their reams of data, saying, okay, these are the facts, and we are Keynesians, and we're going to make it happen here, top down. And you're just going to have to enjoy the benefits with us, right? Because we're going to decree this, we're going to pass a bill and order some new stimuli in your world, and we are in charge. Just trust us. We are all about freedom. After all, we know our soldiers died for freedom, and we are looking out for your benefit. But I'm a skeptic of that, and again, as against all that nationalistic hubris, against all that nationalistic saber rattling, war making, unmaking of other governments, throwing challenging candidates in other countries off the path, and keeping the old guard that we are, whose side, whose alliance we have. We're going to ruin one more foreign country, right? But I'm making the argument here on the David Phillips Show of local control and local interest. And so, is it right to say, as Garnet Chapin suggested, that having local participation makes it softer, makes it better, that we can have a plan, right? A plan devised by local input. And I'd say it may be practically better to have collectivism locally than nationally, but still you have the same problem. You have property owned by somebody. That party wants to do something with it, but you have all these other so-called stakeholders upon it. People who claim an interest in this property, and it's a right that comes by procedure. They have a procedural right to it. There's a process. We have a commission. We have a zoning board. If someone wants to change something, they have to petition for a zoning variance, and so people have rights that attach to them in that process. And so we have these venues where there are comments collected from the public. What do you want to see for this piece of property? What do you want to see for Chattanooga? How should tax money be used for public amenities? What should we do about transportation? What should we do in Chattanooga about education? And let's all have a hand in that. Let's all make a comment, and let every comment be viewed and cared for carefully, as if it were genuine intelligence. And then we're going to put all these together, shake, and then push the button, and out will come a proposal in very nice font, and very, very well presented document. That is our plan. And it seems to be that, well, that is close to the people. The people are getting what they want. They're getting what they proposed, right, in the plan. And so who's to disagree? Who is to be opposed to that? It may be collective, but like I say, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail, right? And I don't believe that that's true, by the way. I really think that when you look at individual lives, maybe so. If you look at individual companies, that might be true. But when you look at the whole market, you can't say fail to plan and plan to fail. That doesn't work in the marketplace, right? It just doesn't. Why not? Well, the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. It doesn't work in the marketplace as a whole, because there you have properly motivated, self-interested decision makers in the thousands determining what is best for individual people and families and concerns, and organizations and associations which have dues-paying members. Those, they have interests as well, and those are the parties that make decisions in the marketplace. And that's how, when you have a free market, as in Houston, you have multiple downtowns, and that's what's grown up there. There are multiple downtowns, and the poor have a place to live. And when I was asking about gentrification from Garnet Chapin, that question expressed my interest for poor people. Where do they live? How can they afford rising rents downtown? How can they survive gentrification? Well, they can't. Where we have boarding houses? Well, we don't have boarding houses anymore. I'm not sure why we don't have them here, but a boarding house is a place where you rent a room in a house, And there's a house mistress, and she prepares the evening meal for everybody. Everybody comes home from work at about 5 or 6, and people eat more or less at the same time, as they did in the O. Henry novels, right? That's where you came across boarding houses. They're a great idea, and that's where poor people, especially when they're single, young, and getting started, that's where they live, in a boarding house. Now you have to spend $500 on the rent, or $700 for renting and efficiency. And the higher prices go from gentrification and development, where every piece of property is put to its highest use, its highest rational use. And so naturally it's going to be expensive to be there. Where are the poor people going to go? They now have to use cars to get to their cleaning jobs, right? Their chicken processing jobs in Chattanooga, and their jobs as waiters and waitresses and mop handlers and others. And people who clean the court, right? I met a woman today at the nursing home where my mother's been installed for 9 days. She used to clean the courts of Judge Williams and Judge Bean, the city court judge. She cleaned courts, and now she's cleaning. She didn't like the night work, and so now she's cleaning on the day side a skilled care nursing facility, and was involved in. She made my mother's bed and clipped the little red button handle to the nice sheet that she had laid, or the nice blanket she had laid across the bed, as my mother sat next to it in her wheelchair, just kind of looking down at her tray, which had not yet been served her breakfast. And where's a woman like that going to live? Right? She has to live out in the county because it's too expensive to live in Chattanooga. And so she's going to be, of course, using a car to get to her job. And so the question of not having a free market raises these other issues about the poor and about homeless people. I have, as a defender of the marketplace here in Chattanooga, I have an argument for the absolute bottom of the housing market. No one else talks about that except Chris Long, who ran for mayor, and me, David Toulis, your host here at Nigger Radio. And that is under the "Your Shantytown is my housing free trade zone" concept. And that's an idea that I hope will come back again when there's a mayoral campaign, and we can take possibly unused property, or state or city seized property, and have it developed for people who are homeless, who can build a home 100% apart from regulation and control, without any amenities at all. Just let them build their own houses based on construction site scraps and the like. Blue canvas, that kind of thing. Let them make their own dwellings, and enough to have a door that they can lock. And at some point, as I proposed, they would be able to own the land. They would own the lot at the end of 2.5 years if they stayed put. But you have to stay put, and you have to get the title to it from the city. The city would give you the title. You would just have it for free. But you have to live there, and you have to maintain your good relations with your neighbors, because when you're not there, when you're out looking for dumpsters, they may be there looking out for you. So you want to have good relations with your neighbors in this housing free trade zone, which again is totally free from any regulation at all. No septic, no electricity, unless somebody, of course, figures that out. All right, the marketplace might come up with a place that the homeless camp, the shantytown, might have electricity and maybe running water at some point. There might be a vendor who comes in with a deal on bottles of water. But that is the housing market that's free, right? You have people taken care of at the top of the market, in the middle, near the lower end, where the lady I met this morning works, and then at the very bottom, the people who are homeless, they too can be served by the marketplace. Well, there is an event coming up Saturday and Sunday I want you to know about, and it's the 36th annual Chattanooga Waterfront Triathlon. And we're going to be broadcasting Saturday and Sunday from throughout the course of this waterfront triathlon downtown. A huge event. Sam Jordan will be there, very own Sam Jordan, broadcasting on a bicycle the day of. And we'll be there with our Hummer. David Toulis, and the number is 800-8949. And now I was going to get to something that I want to just mention, and I'm noticing in my following the rabbit trail that I did not get to it, but we're live on Facebook, by the way, and that's what I'm trying to make note of what I said I was going to talk about on our little segment on Facebook. It's Facebook at Nooga Radio. Of course, you, my listener, your son and daughter are already on Instagram, and Facebook is passé. Okay, but Facebook is passé, but it's useful for the moment. We're there, and also on YouTube at Nooga Radio. The name is David Toulis, and the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. But the question is about E pluribus unum, right? From many one, and the reversal of that is one that I'm arguing for, and I'm trying to participate in that change, and that's called ex uno plura, from many, from one many, and that is decentralization brought to us by the internet, and also by the diversification, the diversified economy that promises, the rise of small business, and the collapse, if you will, of centralized monolithic administrative systems that feed that top 0.5% of the population that sort of owns the government, right? All the benefits, all the gains in income have gone to the very top tier, and gains in income have fallen off for everybody else. No one else gains in income except the very top 0.5% or 0.5% of earners, where all the gains are going. They're the people connected with government. They are connected with cartels, and largely, big government breeds big, and they are at the top. That system will not last. It will not last, and we are in a long-term, a mega trend of decentralization, and I would say more freedom and more liberty. But that doesn't speak well. The idea doesn't speak well, or doesn't bode well, I should say, for Social Security, for Medicare, Medicaid. Those systems simply cannot last. They are simply promises to pay. They're political promises. You have no contractual claim to property in Social Security. It's procedural and administrative promise. It's a gratuity by Congress to the people. It's not going to last, and you really can't count on it. So those systems will not last. And so where are we in Chattanooga? Where are we in Hamilton County? Well, I think we're going to have to rely in the future, 30 years out, 40 years out, we're going to have to rely on family and self-directed government. We're going to have to be more self-governing. And that, of course, is the claim of Christianity always upon the individual. You must govern yourself. And individuals stacked up and grouped as a people or a city, is they tend to be more self-governing. They will tend to be more prosperous, more populous, and more prosperous. And we want all those things to come to us. And one of my arguments in favor of that is, of course, transportation and administrative notice, pushing back the claims of the traffic statute only to make it apply only to people involved in commerce and not to private users. We have to have a local leader, if you will, a political leader, someone who sees in this legal discussion a tremendous benefit, which I have written about at Nooganomics.com, and that would be a defiant haven city concept where there is no Title 55 enforced in this city unless you're involved in the cab business, the trucking business, the ambulance business, the hauling business. Those people are subject to the statute, but not anybody else. That would be we would become a haven in Chattanooga if that were done. It won't happen under Andy Burke. Andy Burke won't even think about it. Though Wade Hinton is on notice that the law is being misapplied by the Chattanooga Police Department. We need to have a leader in the area who thinks in terms of independence, right? Self-government. That's what I'm arguing for in that project. Now, to the question about it being hard to be successful. It's hard to resist. We read and we've heard about. We read on Facebook today about the man who's accused of a drug crime, the door blown off of his apartment building, and he's now suing the Little Rock Police Department for abuse. He is standing his ground, and I'm seeing how it is that people are unwilling to do that, and it just occurred to me that I was trying to help a lady today who has a hearing in East Ridge City Court. I was trying to help her with a defense for her. She was charged with driving a revoke. Her case coming before Judge Chris Helton, and I had some dealings with her to say, look, ma'am, you're not being rightly accused. There was a defense for you to make. And finally, in my last efforts to speak with her were, if you just let me assist you. You can save $150. I was reaching to the basest reason, which is saving money. And she and other people are, two other people with whom I've dealt in the past few months are just unwilling to care. They don't care about standing their ground and being right because they are innocent. They're not guilty of what they've been accused. I'm trying to help you see that. It's easier just not worry about that, David. So don't worry about that. I'll just go take my licks. It's a $50 fine max. That plus 4 costs, and I'm out. And that's what most people are willing to accept. I'm not. I want to fight. And I want to decentralize. David Tulis, Nuka Radio.
3, 2, 1.
Chatham Nuka Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.